Hey everybody, it's time for another still life. This week's still life, I'm not happy with it because it seemed very strange, and my art teacher pointed out that this box that it's placed within is not in perspective. It's very skewed. It might be a bit hard to tell, which is why I was stuck on it, but it is out of place. So now if you're wondering, as the rest of my class wondered, what this is, that still life drawing is based off of my gaming mouse. It's very odd shapes, which is one part of why this still life did not work for this week's assignment. Now the assignment was to create a more primitive shape out of an existing object. So, if I was going to render this lamp out, instead of having these curved surfaces, I would make it more primitive. I would give it flat edges, sharp corners, instead of that curved body of its. So, while my mouse is already rather primitive, I simplified these two scroll wheels, as well as this. It's actually a wrench you could pull out of the back of the mouse to adjust it. So when I brought this into class this week, all of the other students were just gathered around it wondering what the heck it was. And it must have been for 15 minutes they were guessing. A couple of the students guessed what it was. Actually, they were only girls. I told them that this part rotated. So then they started thinking it must be an electric can opener. And then I told them that this part also rotated. And that just threw them through a loop. They just could not guess what this was. And the art teacher also couldn't guess, and it is rather a strange shape. It looks kind of like a futuristic battle tank or something. But my art teacher told me that this works as a piece of art. Definitely does, because it left the audience guessing what it was, and it is nicely rendered. But it fails for this week's assignment because this object is too complicated. We can't check if it's in perspective or not because of all these broken angles and the irregular shapes. So I'm not going to redo it. He told me not to redo it, just bring it in next week with my mouse so we can see how could we create this in perspective with a perspective check or a surrounding box. And as you see, it's very strange shaped, and not a good choice for this week's assignment. I wish I did something other than this mouse for the assignment, but it did leave some people guessing. That's always fun. And we also learned in class how to create fisheye drawings. As you can see, the cover, MC Escher's observation of different spheres, how the room is kind of in this fisheye shape, everything distorted. Well, creating a distorted image is actually very precise, because if we take a look at the room, our eyes scan it, doesn't it seem to curve? The far angle, watch it, and it gets flat. This is within our point of view, our perspective. As we go further away from what we can't see, you can see it starts to curve. And you can actually measure these angles. You can measure these angles, write it down, and you keep measuring, and you'll just get the slope. So, since we learned that tool, we can actually capture this entire room, including my messy roommate's side of the room. And you can see how it curves. It was insane when he showed us that. Like, it seriously is a curve, although it's a flat edge. Fascinating. It's like just blew my mind when he showed me that. So for this week's assignment, we had to draw a room with a view outside. So you have to capture an entire room, all the furniture, all the objects, as well as render the outside. So I think I'm going to try this fisheye drawing, and I might visit the library or another public place that has large windows, more elegant structure than just this white box of a room. And I'm going to create a fisheye drawing of both the inside and the outside. So I'll upload that video when it's done, and I'll see you next time.